Everybody, this is Ramon Ray, and this is The Rundown with Ramon. Thanks for taking the time to be here today. I appreciate you. If you weren't here, it would be a very lonely show. We're talking to Atiya today. Atiya, what's your last name again? Brown. I was going to say that. Atiya Brown, the savvy accountant. Atiya, thanks for being here today. As we speak today, Atiya, how has your day been?
It's been good. This has been a great day so far. So we had a tax deadline we just finished, so I'm kind of slowing down until the next tax deadline comes. So today's actually been really good.
Very good. I appreciate that. Atiya, tell us who you are today, who you serve. What problem do you solve? Who are you for? Catch us up to speed of who you are today. Then we're going to go back a bit and find out how you got here. Then we're going to go back to today. But tell us who you are today and who you serve.
So I'm Atiya today. I am the owner of the Savvy Accountant. It's a CPA firm where we are savvy at solving your tax issues. So we help small businesses make sure that they are keeping most of their money and not overpaying the government, because most people start businesses so they can build wealth. So we want to make sure that you can keep a lot of that wealth.
I love that. And what kind of do you work? I'm assuming you work with a wide range of different types of businesses, or is there a particular sector you're in?
So we work a lot with small business owners, service-based mainly. We do have some e-commerce, but service-based, service professionals. So we have a lot of physicians, we have a lot of therapists, and we also have a lot of real estate. Real estate was kind of where we started, so we definitely have a lot of real estate in our client base.
Got it. Very nice. And how did you get to be who you are today, Atiya? Were you like some chef on a Japanese cruise ship 15 years ago, or I don't know how did you get here today? Or were you always kind of in the money space? Give us the journey of how you got here today to be Atiya, the savvy accountant.
It's great. No, so unfortunately I wasn't like a pirate on another ship, but so I've always been obsessed with numbers.
Okay.
And so ever since I was younger, and I went to university for like actuarial math because numbers, and then I realized that I'm really outgoing and I'm an extrovert. And so actuarial math is probably not where I should be. And so I took my first accounting class in university, my first accounting and tax class, and I did really good. I understood the material. And so my tax teacher, she was actually a CPA, and she was like, I think you need to try out for this team. And what it was a tax team that's going to represent my university across Canada in a competition. So I did, I tried out, I made the team, we placed third our first year. And so my love of tax kind of started there. So
I love
yeah.
it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, and that's very good. And I think it's not just numbers, it gets tax. It's all about tax code as well and applying it and understanding it, and et cetera, et cetera. For that matter, what does it take to be a good accountant, money person, financial person? What are some skills you need? What are some things that make you a bad one, Atiya? Tell us that too.
So some skills, because the world of accounting is very wide, and you will have some CPAs that don't touch tax, and you'll have some CPAs like myself who love tax.
Okay.
So we have a wide range of things that we can do. But so I think you definitely need to love numbers. You definitely need to have some kind of organization to you. So everybody's not organized on the same level, but you need to be able to kind of put things where they go, because that's the nature of what we do. Some things that make you not a good one, I would definitely say if you don't like numbers, it's probably not going to be the easiest for you.
Very nice. I'm pointing to myself, those on the
Yeah.
podcast. I don't like them. I love it, Atiya. So break it down. Tell us, what are some of the things, can you think of the 3 or 4 common things you're telling business owners who come to you? And it may not be that simple, but are there things you say, Ramon, listen, and maybe I'll frame the question. Let's talk to the new business owner that's just starting out. Let's talk to them. They started out, Atiya, they're running to you. They just got their bank account. Oh my God, they got it in my bank account. You know, not much is happening quite yet. What do they need to know from you? If anything, maybe it's too early, but is there anything you'd say, okay, great, you just started your business, got your bank account fresh. Maybe they got a few dollars in there. Maybe they don't. Maybe they got their first $10,000 check. Maybe they didn't. If I'm just trying to set up some basis here, where do they, any advice for them, Atiya, that level, that setting, that scenario?
I love that. And
Okay,
the first thing I would say is congratulations on setting up the bank account, because one of the things I see small business owners doing is what we call commingling. So they are mixing
people
their
still do
business, yes, business and personal. And so the fact that they opened a separate account, they are on the right path, because a lot of times people are not doing that. And so you want to get into the habit really early on of separating yourself from the business. And that is to say, business expenses, business revenue goes into that business account, and that's separate from the Atiya account that's going to be for the after stuff. So I like the fact that they come to me with that bank account and they're excited. So that's the first thing. The second thing I definitely want to tell them is it's never too early to meet with your accountant or an accountant. And even if you can't afford their services on a retainer basis, an accountant and a lawyer is probably someone you want to meet at the beginning of your stages so that you can set the foundation right. So they'll let you know if you're in the right business entity structure, if you're making like what your goals are, to let you know if you're on the right path. So even if they're not on your team like full time, at least having a consultation to figure out, to make sure that you're starting out right.
I love it. I love it. And then let's talk then to that business owner, maybe been in business for a while. And Atiya, just between you and I, they are a hot mess. And I don't even know what a hot mess means. You can even tell me what hot mess means, but you look at the stuff and I know you wouldn't go, oh my God, because this is what you do. But what's that? Give us, make up. I'll give you the challenge, Atiya. Make up a case that like, Ramon, this is a hot mess. Maybe they haven't filed. They got letters from the IRS. Who knows? Give us you tell me what's a hot mess. And then what's your advice for them?
Oh, I like this question because I think a lot of people come to us and they're stressed because they got notices, because they haven't filed their taxes in several years, because they don't know what their numbers are. They kind of are just doing business and they're not having anybody look at the numbers. And so all of those scenarios, people tend to think that they're a hot mess. And I'm here to tell them that when it comes to this world, everything is figure outable. We just need to understand what we're working with. So if you got 10 tax notices that you haven't opened the envelope, we need to open the envelopes. We need to see
So
what
start
they're
there,
even
huh?
asking.
Please, dear business owner, it's okay. Just open them up.
Exactly. And so open them up and we can take a look and see what they're asking, because every situation is going to be different.
Right.
But I'm telling you right now, a lot of times the clients come to us thinking they're in a hot mess. And it's really something that we can easily solve. We just need to make sure that we start the process. So, hot messes are going to be subjective, but don't be stressed out, because I definitely know that taxes stress people out and I get it. So we're kind of here to, be that buffer to let you know that somebody is here that understands what's going on so we can help you navigate this whole situation.
Love it. And then give us some best practices, Atiya. What are some things you've gone through over the years that you say, Ramon, whether they work with the savvy accountant or not, here's some core best practices for business. And before you do that, Atiya, tell us your full name again, name of your business, who you serve, and your website or whatever you want to give where we can reach you. Tell us one more time, wrap that up for me, who you are and what you do.
So my name is Atiya Brown. I'm the owner of The Savvy Accountant, which is a CPA practice where we are savvy at solving your tax issues. We work with small business owners, service-based providers, and we help them make sure that they are building wealth by reducing their largest expense, which is their taxes.
I love that. And how we find you, Atiya? How do people
So
want
you
to
can
reach you?
find me across social media at The Savvy Accountant on all social media platforms, or my website is thesavvyaccountant.co.
I love it. Okay, Tia. So let's dive into some best practices. If there are there any common things you'd say, Ramon? Here's 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever things that you'd say every business owner, you may want to look into these things. Here's some things that you've seen over the years that can be done better. Talk to us.
So the first thing I like to tell business owners is that you need to know your numbers. So regardless if you work with the savvy accountant or another professional, you need to be able to have someone that's taking your numbers on a regular basis, which I recommend monthly. You need to have monthly reports where you're looking at your profit and loss, you're looking at your balance sheet, you're looking at your cash flow statement. So these are going to be 3 financial statements you want to make sure that you understand. So knowing your numbers is going to be something that you need to do. And my tip number 2 comes with knowing your numbers, and it deals with being organized. So I did talk about this a little bit at the beginning, and I know a lot of business owners, organization is not their main thing. Their genius is doing what they do. And so working with someone who's organized to help you keep your numbers on track so that you understand what's happening. Because one of the biggest reasons that people are overpaying on their taxes is because they don't know their numbers. So they aren't aware of what they made, what they paid. So when it comes time to tax season, a lot of them are guessing, and that's going to be a formula to make you overpay. That's it. tip
That's good.
that I like
Love
to
it.
give.
Love it. Love it. I love it. No, no, knowing your numbers. And so going back to knowing your numbers, Atiya, how do we do that? Again, I know this is where you come in and all this, but those of us who may use QuickBooks or we use Zoho Books, is that a good starting point and just start to read the reports? In addition, of course, working with a professional, but is that where the lay person business owner, just by just the same way we look at Google Analytics, we look at our Twitter profile, is that kind of starting out, or the other things we maybe want to do?
Great. And I have no problems with DIY. I just
Okay.
want to make sure that you're DIYing it correctly and not DI messing it up.
That.
So QuickBooks, Xero is another one, Xero,
Mhm.
that I recommend for DIYers because I find it's a little bit more end user friendly.
Mhm.
QuickBooks was created by accountants for accountants. So you might run into some trouble if you don't understand what you're inputting into QuickBooks,
Mhm.
but you want to make sure that you're using a system that's going to be cloud-based because of the world that we're in now. It's going to connect to your bank accounts and your credit card accounts so that all of the transactions are going to get, you know, captured,
Mhm.
and then you can work about sorting them out. So you want to make sure that you have a system that's going to help you stay organized when it comes to the numbers. The thing with Excel is a wonderful tool, but it's typically not connected. So it's something that you have to always update, and you want to make sure that you stay on top of it. So you really just have to know yourself, and how often you're going to be able to do that connecting.
Love it. Atiya, I'm curious, when people are looking to find an accountant, maybe talk about yourself, because I assume you're the best of the best. I'm just making that assumption. What should we look for when looking for a CPA, an accountant, a bookkeeper? I know these are different words, and that's another thing. Remind me. You know what? Let's do that first. Can we do some definitions? Bookkeeper, CPA, accountant, tax attorney, financial planner. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but talk about your peers in the space. Talk about the average small business, even though none of us are average, but you know what I mean? What are some of the money people that we may look to? And then feel free to say, what are the services that you provide? But if you get what I mean, some people may have heard of, oh, no, I have a bookkeeper. You may say, oh, no, they can't help with your taxes. You may say, oh, I have a tax, I have a tax attorney, but oh, they're not going to read your profit and loss for you. Help us understand these terms.
That's a good question. And we definitely have a lot of people in the money space that can help you in different aspects.
Okay.
So I like to break it down sometimes this way. So a bookkeeper is going to be the person that's going to be taking all those transactions that we talked about and categorizing it and making sure that all of the buckets are in the place that they're supposed to be. So they're
Mhm.
going to basically categorize everything, and that's the process of bookkeeping. Your accountant is now going to take those numbers and that report and let you know what those numbers actually mean. So it's going to be the analysis of those numbers. And that is not to say that your bookkeeper and your accountant cannot be the same person. You
Mhm.
just have to understand that they're doing two different tasks.
Mhm.
So you need to know either you're going to be using one for both tasks, or you're going to be using somebody for the first task and the second task. So they include different tasks, but it can very much be the same person. Then when you mentioned the CPA. So the CPA, it's a license that you obtain from your state, and your license, you have to go through, I think it's like 4 exams now.
Not for me.
And so
Not for me.
and so they're your certified public accountant. So essentially they are going to be your high level. But again, your CPA can be, if you've hired them to do all of these tasks, they can do these tasks, but you just have to realize where you're hiring them for and what tasks they're going to be doing. A tax attorney is going to be someone that you want on your team if you're having tax issues, if you need some resolution done, because the IRS designated that there are only 3 professions that can represent you before the IRS. So if you do have a tax issue, and that is going to be an attorney, a CPA, or an EA.
Mhm.
And those are the only 3 professions that can do it. So you can get someone in those professions and they can all help you in that scenario. A financial planner, that is someone who I think comes in on the flip side.
Mm.
Once you have your finances and you have this wealth, and they want to help you grow it, and they want to tell you where you should be investing in it, you have to be licensed to do that. You have to be licensed to give that advice, telling them this stock, this is better for you, or that. That's something that the accountant side is not going
Mm.
to be able to do. We can't tell you how to grow your money on that sense. So those are some of the differences I think that exist, and just
I
to
know.
give people an idea of kind of what each does and what they're able to do.
I love it. And an EA is, I'm guessing it stands for executive assistant or estate attorney. I can't think of any other things that EA may stand for, but tell me which one I'm right on or wrong on both.
Oh, it's wrong on both. So an EA,
Okay.
when it comes to taxes, is an enrolled agent. And so that's
Okay,
another
yes.
person that helps on the tax side. So they're able to help you with your tax preparation, the compliance piece, or they're also able to represent you before the IRS if you have any issues that you need covered.
Got it. And is that because, just so I'm curious, I assume IRS doesn't want just every Tom, Dick, and Harry, they want to know they're talking to people who know the language. You can just talk to them on their level. Is that the essence of
So
that?
they definitely, I think that they want some kind of, regulation to make
Right.
sure that the person representing, because when we say representing the taxpayer, you have to have the taxpayer's best interest at heart.
Got it.
So you have to know what you're doing, right? So I think that's why they designate those three professions.
Got it. And I think the last thing, Tia, but again, feel free to anything I didn't address, anything you wanted to mention, do so. But Atiya Brown, again, the Savvy Accountant, and you can find Atiya at all the channels and the Savvy Accountant dot CO. Yeah. So, what do we look for when we're looking for a great accountant, CPA to work with? Can they be solo? Do they have to have a team? Should we ask for references? Should we not? Are there things you say, hey, CPA is great, but ooh, you heard this, maybe it's a red flag, and maybe you don't want to go that far, but just give us a sense of what things should we look for and say, hey, if they have all this, yeah, go for it.
So I do like this question. And I tell people all the time that when you're looking for a new accountant, a new tax professional, you need to be able to kind of interview them.
Mm,
They need to be able to answer questions for you. So sometimes people need someone that's going to be a specialist. So
mhm,
you don't be afraid to say, do you work with real estate
mm,
investors? Do you know that? Because sometimes, like, think of surgeons. You can be a surgeon or you can be a generalist. You're both doctors, and we
mhm,
understand that.
mhm,
But if I'm going to have someone operate on my brain, I'm probably going to want the person who only focuses on the brain.
mhm.
So it's just certain things to make sure that, are they well versed in your industry? So that's a question to ask, and don't be afraid. Another thing I like to tell people is when it comes to working or choosing a professional, make sure that they're able to talk to you in ways that you understand. So they should be able to break down whatever concepts are going through. And it shouldn't stay at a high level where you don't understand what's going
Mm.
on, because I tell people all the time that when you hire a professional, you guys are working in a partnership. It's not you, a red flag for me would be if somebody says, don't worry, I'll handle everything for you. Don't worry about it. Because that's just not the way it works. The IRS is going to be put you on the hook the same way the person that's preparing it. So you want to make sure that the person is able to explain things to you so that you can understand it, and you don't feel like you never have to say, I'm sorry for this stupid question, or you never have to feel like that because
Mhm.
you're asking questions because that's not your area of expertise. So asking questions, making sure that they're well versed in your industry. And you asked about if they can be a
Mhm.
solo or if they have a team. It really depends on what your needs are. I would think that if you're solo and you're still growing, there's no issue with you working with someone who's a solo in their business. But as you continue to grow and scale, you might want someone that's going to grow and scale as well, so that your business doesn't fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are questions I think that you should ask.
No, I agree with you on that. And I think it's a minor thing, but maybe you can you probably understand what's going on here. And I think it's just regular business, not about the financial person. But, I've heard that there's been some cases where, hey, I emailed them, they didn't get back to me. Another person I heard from, they got back to me really quick. So I know that even that small thing, when it's your attention, or then the attorney or the person, knowing with the background, they were like, well, I said to email me at support at ABC accountant. They kept emailing my personal and I couldn't. So, there's communication, I guess, is maybe
Communication
something
is going to
important to look
be
into. Does that
definitely
make
big.
sense?
And I think a lot of small business owners, communication is a hard thing to navigate, because as a small business owner, you're typically just working with yourself.
Hmm.
So you know all the things that you're thinking and how to do them. But once you start building teams and working with other people, that's when you actually need to start making sure that you're flexing that communication
Hmm.
muscle and working on communicating, because sometimes you think something and it doesn't get expressed outwardly. And so, that disconnect can cause issues.
I love it. One more question that come to mind for me, Tina. Then let me know and see if I haven't asked you anything. But cost, and I already know it depends for sure. Listen, I'm in business, but can you, just for those who don't know, is there any guidance that we talk about? It could be 500 a month, or Ramon, don't even talk to me if it's not 5,000 a month. Or, sorry, you want the $99 option? Go to the mall. Any guidance at all you can talk about, or is it way too broad a question?
Oh, well, I think you can talk about it. So definitely. when you're working with a professional, I think that a good starting point that you can consider is going to be about 500 a month.
Yeah.
If you're going to have them working with you monthly, and then they're going to be taking care of other things. So it's not just going to be your bookkeeping. You have taxes that are going to be considered at the end of the year. So you want to make sure that they're pricing to include all of that.
Mhm.
So I think $500 working with another firm to help your business is
Sure.
going to be a good place to start. If you're looking at the lower range of, you said 99, that might be something that's more of like a membership where it's
Okay.
you doing it on your own, but you're not going to have the hands-on of the actual firm working with you every month. So that's something that you can consider. It's how hands-on you are expecting them to be. That's going to dictate the price.
Got it. So like if I'm calling Atiya on her cell phone at 2 a.m. and she's flying in a helicopter to my yacht, that's just a whole nother ball game. We're talking about
A
like
whole
that's
other
just
ball game.
a whole nother.
I'm going to price that right now, because now that you put that out there, somebody might want to call Atiya at 2 a.m. and they need to
Yes.
be paying the price to do that.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And you get there and there's a stack of white envelopes that say DC or wherever. And you're like, no problem. You paid the fee.
Ridiculous.
We will deal with all of it. Go back to your party.
Exactly. So yeah,
I love it.
we're on the way there.
That's right. Atiya, I love it. Anything I didn't ask you, Atiya, that you wanted to touch base, anything you wanted to say, anything else I didn't cover? And I'm sure there's a lot you could cover, but I do these interviews to give people a taste kind of what they need to know in their business. But anything else you wanted to bring up or mention?
I just like to let people know that I am the eldest in my family, and so I do take on that role in my business. And I consider myself the tax savvy big
Mm-hmm.
sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time I deal with my clients, it's a no judgment zone. We are just here to help you get through this issue that you're dealing with. And so I understand that people are stressed, people are nervous, but I'm here to let you know that you don't need to be when you come to work with us. So I just want people to know that there are people out there that can help them with their situation.
I love it. TheSavvyAccountant.co. My friend Atiya, she's here and her team and others to help you there. TheSavvyAccountant.co. And again, my name, if you didn't know, is Ramon Ray. The Rundown with Ramon. So glad you're here today. Because if you weren't here, it'd be a very lonely show. You can get to know me better at RamonRay.com. Definitely check out ZoneOfGenius.com. Wave hi, say hello, DM me across all the platforms. You can even fax me. And so good to be here again. Definitely check out The Savvy Accountant at TheSavvyAccountant.co and check out Atiya. Thanks, Atiya. Appreciate you very much.